So we can write the JavaScript as an external file. Yeah. So as you know, we can get the image file, and once we connect to the static folder, so once we use the static folder, we can connect to the image. So it is also the same. When we want to connect to the JavaScript file, so we will attach to the static folder. So it is always a good practice to separate HTML and other related files, such as images and JavaScript. So in this example, we are going to access the external script file. So we call it the external because we are not going to write the JavaScript in the HTML, but it is outside the script, and it will be executed in the index.html. So let's modify the index.html. In this case, I have this code. So this is the index.html. What's this one? So we have the static. So I'm going to load the static. Static means the static folder that we already defined. And inside the static folder, so I'm going to access the static, and let's go to the JS. Okay, what is the JS? JS means the directory of JS. And I'm going to put a file named sample.js. And then we will do the document writing in the web, and there will be an input. So what is input? In this case, it is a button and on click. So when I click in the button, it will go to the sample. There's a function sample, and the button name is called JavaScript function from sample.js. So it is a function to call the method sample in JavaScript located in the sample.js. So let's make a very simple JavaScript file. So create a JS file named sample.js in the folder JS. And this is the code. So I will copy this one, and then let's make a file in the folder JS. In the folder JS, you can do the right click. One more time, you can do the right click and then choose new, and then you can see JavaScript file. Okay. So I want to make a new JavaScript file, and the JavaScript file name is sample. So you can type sample. When you have the file name sample.js in the folder JS, so you can Ctrl V. Now you will see we have a function. The function name is sample and no argument because we just have the bracket. And then when we call this function, we want to do alert. And the text that will appear on the pop-up is hello from sample.js. Now let's see. So let me just refresh, and you can see there is a button. So when you click this button, then you will see the result, hello from sample.js. So here is a separate JavaScript. When you are doing the HTML file, you are not specifying the script here, but you just connect to the sample.js. So you find where is the file, in this case, in this folder, and then whenever you connect to this file, I want to find the function sample, and the function sample is available in this. And so that's the meaning by this code. JavaScript is executed during the page loading. So the first is it is executed during the page loading, or when the browser fires an event. Fires an event means, yeah, when you click, or when you draw this line, or when you mouse down, mouse up, mouse over, and so on. So all statements are executed at page loading. So when you show the first page, then it will run the JavaScript. Or some statements just define function that can be called later. So what you see before, what you saw before here, the function wait for you. When I click this one, then it's pop up. But in our case, you can run the JavaScript directly whenever you start the page. So function calls or code can be attached as event handlers via tag attributes. So event handler. Event handlers means, yeah, for example, this one, on click. So on click is one of the event handlers. It is executed when the event is fired by the browser. So when I click, then there is a pop-up. When I click, there will be another action. Okay. Now we are going to learn more about the JavaScript syntax. The JavaScript syntax is similar to C# and Java. So if you know C#, if you know Java, it is easy to learn the JavaScript. So we will learn some of those syntax. Okay, for example, the data types. So the data types in the JavaScript, we have numerical, we have objects, we have Boolean, and there will be also operators, same like the other programming language. We have plus, multiply, equal, not equal, and operator, plus operators, and so on. And the variables, we call the variable is typeless. What does it mean? In Java, whenever you have a new variable, you need to define the type of the data. For example, integer number. So I know that the variable number should be integer value. Or if I have string s, so it means the variable s will contain of string. This is for Java. For the C#, it is also the same. You need to define what is the data type, whether it is string or it is integer, or maybe it is double, and etc. In Python, you do not need to define the data type. So for example, you have s equals to hello. Then Python will easily know that this is string. And The same with JavaScript. We call it this is type class. Type class, you do not need to specify the type of the data, and then it will automatically know. So the JavaScript will automatically know what is the data type. There will be another kind of conditional statements. Yeah, so you can learn about if, else. We will learn about switch. Okay. And for loops, we will learn about for and while, and then we have array, and we will also look at the associative arrays, and we will look at the function that can return value and function variables like the C# delegates. Okay, so we will take a look one by one. So you know already, we can have the output from the JavaScript in terms of two things. The first is using document. Okay. When you write the document, dot write, it means you will write something in your web page. If you have alert, it means you want to show the pop-up. Okay. Let's see with this one. So let me just use the index.html. Okay. So let me just use this one. My first web, my first paragraph, and then I have a demo, and then yeah, I have a script. So the script will be a text 5 plus 6. So I want to put the text in the ID demo. So we call the get element by ID. So the ID demo will have the inner HTML, which is 5 plus 6. This one, my first web page, my first paragraph, and then we have 11. So this is the result from 5 plus 6 from the JavaScript. Okay. If I do with this alert, I have alert 5 plus 6, then it shows a pop-up and the result is 11. Okay. Now, we will learn more things about the JavaScript. First, JavaScript has some data types. For example, numbers. So numbers can be integer, it can be floating point. The floating point means 2.3, 5, 3.14, and so on. So we call this is floating point. There are some decimals. We can also have Boolean, true or false. Okay. We can also have string type or string of characters. So for example, I have this variable. So in JavaScript, whenever you create a variable, you need to define with var. Var means variable. And then you can specify the variable name. Let's say my name. So this is the definition by JavaScript. You need to make a var to represent the variable, and this can be any name. So in the name, yeah, we use double quote. Okay. So here the explanation. You can use both single or double quotes for string. So you can use this one, or you can use this one for string. Those things are okay for JavaScript. Array. Array in JavaScript is similar with list in Python. So we need to define var, and let's say this is my array, and then we will need to have the square bracket. And the square bracket, yeah, we have integer, floating number, string. So it is available for the combination. And we can have the associative array. So we call this is associative array, or we call it this is hash tables. Maybe in the Python we call it dictionary. In this case, we have, for example, a variable my hash, and then I have key value, and key value. So the key is A and the value is 2. The key is B, the value is 3. The key is C and the value is text. And whenever we want to create a string, we can use JSON. So we will learn separately about JSON. JSON.stringify. So we want to put this dictionary into string. So JSON. There will be another part of this one, JSON. It means the JavaScript object notation. So we will learn separately about JSON in some weeks later. So now let's put this one in the JavaScript. So before I have this one, sample. Okay, let me use sample. So in the index, I will go back to this one. So I'm going to load the static sample.js. I have the sample when I click this one, but now I'm not using the function sample. Let me just change. Let me change with this one. Okay. So you will see you can use both single or double quotes for strings. And then there will be an array 1, 5.3, AAA, and then we have a kind of dictionary, or we call it as table. So here is the script from the JavaScript. My name is, you can use both single or double quotes for strings. My array 1, 5.3, AAA. My hash is this one. And then I'm going to write into the web browser. How can I write it? So I use the document dot write. So I'm writing in the web browser my name. My name is this one. You can use both single and double quotes. And then we have PR. What is PR? PR is the break line or line break. Okay. So we want to break the line, and then we go to the next line. So we want to write the array, my array, 1, 5.3, AAA. And then we want to do the break line again. So we go to the next line. In the next line, there is a variable str, and this is a stringify from my hash, a stringify from this one. And you will write the str into the web. And you will see the result like this one. Okay, this is the tree line. So data types, yeah. Whenever you create a data types or whenever you create a value in variable, everything is object. So every variable can be considered as object. For example, string and arrays have member functions. So let's say we have string, this one, and this string will be in the variable test. So this string can have array members. The array in JavaScript start from 0. So for example, I have a variable test some string and I want to show the test index 7. What does it mean? Test index 7. Then it means we start from 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it will show the letter R. If I want to see the test dot char at 5, char at 5, this is the index position 5. So the same 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So S. So it will show the letter S. If I want to see the test at the character at 1, what is 1? It shows the letter E. Why? Because this is the string. Okay, using the double quote means this is the string. So this is the string that I want to look at. So the character at the index 1 from test, it is E. So not from this test. So please distinguish between the test here. This is the variable name. And the test here, which is a string. So we can also look at the substring. The substring means we have tests, and then I want to know the index 1 until 3. So it is the same with the Python. When we have 1 until 3, it means I want to know from the index 1 until 3 minus 1. So it means I have the index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3. So I want to know the index 1, which is E, index 2, which is S. I have an array, it is 1, 3, and 4. So alert the array length. The array length, it shows 3 because there are 3 elements. And in this array, I want to add another element. So I can use push. The push means I want to add or I want to append 7 to the end of the array. So let's say I want to know what is the position in index 3 of the variable ARR. ARR means 1, 3, and 4. So once we push, we have another value which is 7. So the index 3 will be 7. We can use some operations like string operations. So the plus operator join string. For example, the string 1 is fat, the string 2 gets. So I want to class string 1 plus string 2. So the result will be pet cats. Now I want to show 9 plus 9. What is the result? 9 plus 9, it shows 8. But if you have 9 with double quote plus 9, which is number, then the result will be 99. Okay. The first is a string. So string can be considered as the highest precedence. So if it is 9, then we add another 9, then it will be a combination between the string. So it is 99. We can convert the string to numbers. For example, 9 is a string. 9 is a string. So I want to change this into integer. In order to change to integer, I need to use parse int. So I need to use parse int. So the 9, which is a string, can be changed to 9, which is an integer. So after I change this into numbers, then I can do just arithmetic operation. 9 plus 9, that is 18. So we can do other kind of operation for array. For example, I want to declare a new empty array. So the variable arr is a new array. And then we can declare an array holding a few elements. So we have var arr 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We want to append a new element or getting the last element. So adding the new element means I want to use push 3. So I'm adding a new element. And if I want to pop, so I want to remove. Pop the element, it means I want to pop the last element. And then it will be inserted into the variable element. I want to reading the number of elements, so array length. I can use array.length. And I want to find the element index in the array. So I want to know what is the array dot index of 1. So if you look at this one, you can see that every statement will be ended with semicolon, 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 semicolon. So every statement should be ended with the semicolon to know that this is the ending of the code. And there are some standard for the pop-up box here. The first is to alert. Alert means I want to show in the pop-up, or we call it a dialog box. For example, alert some text here. There might be confirmation box. Confirmation box means I have the OK and cancel button. So if you put the confirm, are you sure? So you will have two buttons, OK or cancel. You can also use prompt box. The prompt box means I want to put a values. It contains text, the input fields with the default value. So for example, I put prompt, enter the amount. If I put 10, it means the basic value or the default value is 10, but you can change it according to your requirement. Okay, let's see this example. Let me modify the index.html. Okay, so there are two pages. So you can do copy and paste those two pages into the index.html. Once you finish copying paste, now you will see the page. This is a demo. Okay. Let's say you want to have value 6 and 8. Okay. And when you click the process, you will see the result 14. So this is a kind of calculator. So let's change 5 and 18. When you do the process, then you will get the result with this. Okay. So let's look at the code. As I mentioned, it is recommended to put the script on the head. So if you want to put the script in the separate file, yeah, that's highly recommended. But let's just put this in the head section. So in the head section, this is the JavaScript. We have one function, calculated sum. Calculate. So I want to have a value 1 and I have the value 2. So the value 1 and value 2 will be added into a new variable which is sum. And at the end, I want to show it again in the web browser. Okay. Now you will see parse in. What is parse in? Parse in. It is to change the data type from string to integer. Okay. So every time you have a value in the text that is from the web, it will be always string. It will be always string. And then if you want to do the mathematical operation like this one, you need to change into numbers, for example, integers. So we have a document. So we call the document is the web page. And then we want to look at the main form. Where is the location of the main form? And then we need to check where is the text box one. And we want to get the value from the text box one. What is the value? Now, you will see in the body, we have main form. So this is the form. And we have the name of the form, it is main form. And in the main form, we have some text, which is text box 1, text box 2, and then text box sum. What we want to get here is the value from the text box 1. And the value will be parsed into integer. The second value is from the text box 2. We want to get the value and we want to change it into integer. So once we get the integer value, we want to do the summation. And once we already finished with the summation, we want to show it into the text box. So the variable text box sum in the main form of the document. So the value will be the same with the variables. So the process here means a button. So the button, when you click on this button, you will execute the JavaScript. And the JavaScript function that you will execute is calculated sum. So the calculated sum is this function. So that's why, yeah, whenever you do like this 6 plus 11, so when you click process, then it is added into this text box and the value is 17. So how if I want to use the external file? So if I want to use the external file, of course, you need to load the static, okay, and then do some JavaScript calling file. So in this case, I will create the prompt test.js, and whenever I click on the button, then yeah, it will show something. Okay. So let me change this one. So index.html, let me change, and then let's make a prompt test.js. Let's make a new file, JavaScript, from test. Okay. In this syntax, we have a variable price, and I have a prompt. So the prompt will show the text, enter the price. The default is 10. And after I finish this one, there will be an alert. The alert means the message will be price plus VAT, and it equals to price multiplied by 1.2. Let's see. If I refresh this one, now I have a button from test. If I click this one, now you will have a prompt. The prompt means how much you want to enter for the price. Let's say I want to enter 20. So when you finish with entering the value, press again, then you will see an alert. This alert means the price will be plus with the VAT, it becomes 24. Okay. You put the value 20. So 20 multiplied by 1.2, it becomes 24. So here we just call the prompt test.js, and when we click the button, we will execute the function sample. Now let's do some other experiment with the conditional statement. I do not discuss in details what is if, what is for. Okay, I hope that you already learned from your programming class. Okay, so if statement means conditional. So if the condition is true, then we will do this statement. If the condition is false, then we will do another statement. So let's say we have only one condition. I want to get the quantity. So I enter the quantity, let's say 10. And then the unit price is 1.3. If the quantity is higher than 100, it means if someone buy a lot of quantity, then let's discount the price. So the price will be 1.2. At the end, let's alert. The total price will be quantity multiplied by the unit price. So in the if, there might be some kind of condition. For example, greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, equal and not equal. So this one is the common operators from all programming languages. Okay, let's see. I want to do this one. So I will copy and paste, and then let's make test underbar if1.js. So I will make a new JS file, test if1.js. So this is a code in the test if1.js. Now I need to change this one because what I want to run is the conditional statement. The file name is test if1.js. So you need to call the file name test underbar if1.js, and the function name is still the same, sample. Let me just use this one. Enter the quantity. Let's say I put 150. So the total price is 180 because 150 multiplied by 1.2. If I do with only 10, the price will be 13 because it is not more than 100. We can have multiple condition. So multiple condition means we have n and or. Or means if one of the condition is true, then do this one. And if one of the condition is false, then do this one. If both of them are true, so this is true and this is true, then we will do this one. Okay, let me just copy and paste. Now let's make test if2.js. Test if2.js. Then after I have this one, let's change this one to test if2.js. So I want to run the JS file, which is from the if file, test if2. Okay. So the result is A equals to 0, B equals to true. Does it mean? When A equals to 0 and B equals to true. Okay, so this is the first value that we want to set up. A automatically is dedicated as number because it is 0. B is Boolean because it is true. Now we want to check if type of A equals undefined. What does it mean? We want to check whether the variable A is undefined or not. Because the initial value is 0, then it is defined as number. So if you have var C, something like this, so it is undefined. We do not know whether it is number or whether it is Boolean, whether it is string. Then it will be undefined. But if you have a specific value, then it is already defined. So type of A equals to undefined or type of B is undefined. So if those two, either of those are true, then we will print this one. Variable A or B is undefined. but actually, yeah, those two have the definition. So this is not true. This is not true. False and false. So we will not do this one. So we will go to the else. Else, if A equals to 0 and B. A equals to 0 and B. So A equals to 0, yes, true. B is true, yes, true. True and true, then we will print this one. A equals to 0 and B equals to 2. If this is also not correct, then we will print this one. Okay. So that's why we get the result A equals to 0, B equals to 2. Okay, let me stop here. Let's have a break. I will continue after the break.